Hey, I'm Sean Alonso, and this is a pretty crazy stainless Damascus pizza cutter.
I make a pizza cutter once every other month or every other quarter. It just didn't seem like something that people looked for before.
Each piece I build, it has like a special story to me because I make each piece with my hands for such a long period of time. The very first pizza cutter that I did was around 2019, and it was for this Filipino-Japanese pizzaiolo in Japan. He just found my work randomly, and I've never done a pizza cutter in my life before. He just said, "Sean, do you ever see yourself doing anything outside chef knives?" He asked if I wanted to take a stab at a pizza cutter. I just played with the idea for a couple days. I thought about it. I accepted a project and I panicked. He sent me a couple references of what custom pizza cutter designs look like, and I just designed something not really following his references, but then designed something based on what I wanted to do, and he was okay with it. The wear on the edge and the patina on the bolsters, to me that's a really beautiful piece because it's being used every single day. I don't really have a very specific ideal client in mind. It's available for anyone who wants it. It could be like a chef, it could be a really enthusiastic knife collector, and it could just be a regular guy that likes to make pizza. There's like another layer of intimacy to that experience of cooking. You're appreciating what you're doing using a tool that you appreciate. I really love making them because the materials that you use for a pizza cutter is so different from the materials I would use for chef knives. Like for example, there's this material called Moko Megane. It's a pattern welded laminate between brass, nickel, and copper. Normally, I wouldn't use that on a chef knife because it's just a little bit difficult to fit. It's really difficult to make and it's a little bit difficult to maintain, and no one has asked for it yet. But then on a pizza cutter, I could go a little bit crazy with the patterns and the fittings. Back then, I was still using metric screws, the one with the hex key instead of the Torx key. The screws were very proprietary in the sense that I bootstrapped them. It's like a Frankenstein's monster of different parts. That was the very first pizza cutter. So now I like to use more professional pivots. Like I have titanium pivots, I have zirconium pivots. I can make really intricate collars. They're a lot more oriented towards detail and pattern than they were before. I like my handle sculpting better now because it has crisper facets. The handle sculpting I do now presents the detail of the different materials that I use so much better than it did in the past. The pattern of this particular piece of Damascus steel is very different. With the radial blade, I had to forge it a lot wider so that it fits the size that I want, which is around 3 inches. The Damascus steel pattern that I use is very directional. It's also very aggressive with its pattern. It's still a continuous evolution, so I'm not sure how my pizza cutter is going to look in the next 5 years or so. So far, this has been the journey to that. The inspiration for this build, I was thinking some tropical color, like tropical sky. So I think that's reflected in the really bright colors that I used in the handle material, like titanium, the turquoise, almost Caribbean teal colored box elderpearl, and the very directional pattern of the Damascus steel. It almost looks like crashing waves. That was probably the inspiration behind it. Back then, I used to draft everything on a design software like AutoCAD, so I know all the holes are aligned. But then now I just do it very sculpturally. So I have a very vague idea of how the pizza cutter comes together. It's like creative play, I just go with whatever I feel like or whatever the material feels like it wants to go. The most enjoyable part would probably be put it together once everything's done and to see if what I had in my head was actually what it looks like right now. It's like how a chef has a vague idea of how something will taste, but then it's very different once the thing is finally finished. That's just the nature of handmade items. I don't take precise measurements of the overall shape, the different dimensions that I use. I just go on a vague template and then I just work from that. So for this one, it's unique to me. That's what makes it special.